On December 19, 2025, the United States launched a massive wave of airstrikes in Syria dubbed Operation Hawkeye Strike. This wasn't just a standard mission, it was a calculated act of revenge following a deadly ambush. But how exactly does a superpower execute such a complex operation overnight? Let's break down the step-by-step process of how the US dismantled ISIS targets. It all starts with Step 1, target intelligence and identification. You can't hit what you can't see. For this operation, US Central Command, or CENTCOM, deployed a target development phase. They didn't just guess, they used a powerful mix of two things: human intelligence, spies and informants from local Syrian security forces on the ground. Now, usually operating in Syria is a diplomatic nightmare. Was the US acting alone, or did they have permission to be there? That brings us to Step 2, host nation support. This is a major shift from previous years. Unlike the old days where the US operated in a hostile environment, this time they had explicit support. Once the targets were marked and permission was granted, they then select the firepower. This is Step 3, tactical execution. Once the go order was given, the military opened up the entire arsenal. They deployed specific assets for specific targets. For air power, they launched F-15 Eagles and the legendary A-10 Thunderbolt II Orthogs for precision bombing runs. Here is the ground support. For targets that were moving or close range, they used a H-64 Apache helicopters and the devastating HIMARS artillery rocket systems. Let's look at the ammo. To make sure they only hit the bad guys, they used GPS and laser-guided smart bombs to minimize collateral damage. The operation hit over 70 targets with 100 munitions. But where exactly did these bombs land? According to military reports, the strikes were concentrated in 4 key governorates. Homs Governorate, specifically Palmyra and Jebel al-Amor. This was personal. The ambush that killed 2 US soldiers happened here, so the US hammered ISIS hideouts in the nearby mountains. Raqqa Governorate. In the Ma'den Desert, strikes destroyed desert pockets. Remote areas ISIS remnants have used for training and staging attacks like Deir ez-Zor Governorate. In the Al-Hamad Desert, airstrikes targeted weapons storage facilities. Reports say explosions here continued overnight into December 20th. Hasaka Governorate. In the Al-Shaddadi region, US forces launched missiles from their own bases to push ISIS strongholds further south and west. To provide a clearer picture of Syria's complex and fragmented conflict, it is crucial to understand the territorial control among the key players on the ground. 4 primary factions dominate different areas of the country, each backed by varying external powers and ideologies. The Syrian government forces, marked in red on many conflict maps, represent the Bashar al-Assad regime's primary military apparatus. These forces are supported by the National Defense Forces, a pro-government paramilitary group. The Assad regime also benefits from the significant backing of Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah, whose combined efforts have fortified and sustained its control over large swaths of territory, particularly in central and western Syria. The Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, represented in yellow, consists largely of Kurdish fighters. This group, backed by the United States, controls much of eastern Syria, including areas rich in oil reserves. The SDF has played a critical role in the fight against ISIS and continues to manage regions under its control with the support of its international allies. HTS and other allied rebel factions, shown in green, operate primarily in the northwest. HTS, an evolution of the al-Nusra Front, previously aligned with al-Qaeda until severing ties in 2016, remains a dominant force in this region. Despite internal divisions, HTS maintains significant influence over the territories it controls. In the north, Turkish-backed rebel forces, including the Syrian National Army, hold ground along the Turkish border. Turkey has supported these groups as part of its broader strategy to counter Kurdish influence and establish a buffer zone. These areas, often marked in different shades of green, reflect Turkey's active involvement in the Syrian conflict. Meanwhile, these patches, the Islamic State or Daesh-dominated territory, still persist in some isolated desert regions, a stark reminder that the group's threat has not been entirely eradicated. Finally, in the south, additional rebel groups maintain a presence, and the Golan Heights adds a further layer of complexity. Israel claims sovereignty over this territory, citing its capture during the 1967 Six-Day War, while Arab nations and the broader international community often regard it as occupied territory. Understanding these dynamics is key to grasping the intricacies of Syria's civil war. If you have any thoughts or additional questions about the situation, feel free to share them in the comment section below. On November 27, Syrian opposition armed groups launched a sudden and audacious offensive that took many by surprise. This operation was spearheaded by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, commonly abbreviated as ATS. Known for its strategic capabilities, HTS and its allied rebel forces in northwest Syria swiftly advanced through the western countryside of Aleppo. Their rapid progress underscored the intensity and effectiveness of their offensive as they overcame resistance with remarkable ease. The momentum of the attack did not wane in Aleppo. Instead, the rebel forces pushed further south and southwest, extending their campaign into new territories. This continued offensive brought them significant gains, including control over areas in Hama province. To simplify this complicated civil war, let's draw a line and divide each side. On one side, Iran, Russia, and Hezbollah support the Bashar al-Assad regime. On the other side, the US government supports the Kurds. Just below, we have another group, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, which support the rebel groups. Then there's ISIS, and everyone seems to be fighting against them. However, Turkey is also fighting against the Kurds, which creates a very confusing scenario. I know there seems to be a lot of confusion, but with this 2-day live AI mastermind training on Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and the best part is it is free, instead of the usual $395. It's the world's first AI-focused platform, rated 4.9 on Trustpilot with over 10 million professionals trained. This 16-hour live course, led by AI experts from Microsoft and NVIDIA, teaches you how to use AI to simplify tasks, build AI agents, automate workflows with tools like Sheets and Notion, and create AI systems for work or business. Graduates from Outskills have launched AI businesses earning $4,000 to $5,000 weekly. Plus, if you attend both days, you get $5,000 worth of bonuses, including a prompt Bible and personalized AI toolkit. Seats are limited, so grab yours now via the link in the description or scan the QR code and join the WhatsApp community to stay updated before the big blast. Let's take a look at the Syrian army versus the rebels' military equipments. The Syrian forces rely heavily on a combination of tanks, armored vehicles, artillery, and air power to maintain dominance on the battlefield. The Syrian army deploys T-72 and T-90 tanks, which offer advanced targeting systems and protective armor. Alongside these, older models such as the T-55 and T-62 continue to play a role, particularly in secondary operations. Infantry fighting vehicles like the BMP-1 and BMP-2 are staples in mechanized units, providing mobility and firepower. While armored personnel carriers, including the BTR-60 and BTR-80, ensure troop movement and logistical support across Syria's rugged terrain. Artillery is a key component of the Syrian military strategy, with the widespread use of howitzers, such as the D-30 and self-propelled systems like the 2S-1 Gvozdika. These are supplemented by powerful rocket artillery systems, including the BM-21 Grad and the BM-30 Smerch, capable of delivering devastating salvos over large areas. Russian support has further enhanced these capabilities, like the advanced caliber precision-guided munitions and electronic warfare systems. In the skies, the Syrian Air Force, supported by Russian pilots and aircraft, fields an array of jets and helicopters. MiG-29 fighters and Su-22 strike aircraft are frequently used in airstrikes, while Su-24 bombers deliver precision strikes on fortified rebel positions. Attack helicopters such as the Mi-24 and Mi-28 Havoc provide close air support for ground troops, leveraging their firepower to suppress rebel advances. In stark contrast, the Free Syrian Army and its affiliated rebel factions operate with a patchwork arsenal, much of it captured from the Syrian army or supplied by external backers. These groups rely on older Soviet-manufactured equipment, smuggled weapons, and improvised systems to challenge the better-equipped regime forces. Their tank units primarily consist of captured T-55 and T-62 tanks, which lack the advanced targeting and armor capabilities of their T-72 and T-90 counterparts. Rebel groups make extensive use of technicals, civilian pickup trucks fitted with heavy machine guns or recoilless rifles. These highly mobile and cost-effective vehicles are a hallmark of guerrilla warfare in the region. Anti-tank capabilities are provided by weapons such as the RPG and guided missile systems like the US-supplied tube-launch, optically tracked, wire-guided. The TOW is a second-generation anti-tank missile system that is used by more than 40 countries. Artillery from the Free Syrian Army and allied groups is limited, but includes capture howitzers and improvised rocket launchers. Mortars and smaller rocket systems provide indirect fire support, though their range and accuracy are no match for the Syrian army's heavy artillery. Air support remains the rebel greatest weakness as they lack aircraft of their own. To counter regime and Russian airstrikes, they rely on portable air defense systems manpads, which have had some success in downing helicopters and jets. However, these systems are limited in number and capability, leaving rebel forces vulnerable to sustained aerial bombardment. Their guerrilla tactics and external support, primarily from Turkey and Western allies, have allowed them to challenge the regime's superiority. Turkish-backed groups among the FSA have received more modern equipment, including Turkish-supplied rifles, Kirpi armored vehicles, and advanced drones like the Bayraktar TB2, which have been used effectively against both Syrian and Russian assets. This asymmetry in firepower illustrates the stark divide in the Syrian conflict. We've broken down the Minuteman silos and the Trident submarines. You can catch all the parts right here. Don't miss our next deep dive, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos.